what's everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, the podcast inspiring young rock and metal fans discover new music and find a place they can connect and feel accepted, and that's the place where you are right now. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm going to put it this way. You guys know I have like a list of like my favorite guests of all time, which include Jonathan Norris from King Collapse, the girls from GFM, Joey Arena from Outlier, Joey Varela from Varsity, the guys in Caskets, and Benny from Avoid. And one of those six is on the podcast today for an episode where you must listen to this whole entire thing. It is just mind enlightening. Just incredible episode all throughout. I mean, this is one not to miss. I don't know any other way to describe it, so I don't want to ruin the rest of it for you. So let's jump in the episode. Before, though, I want to thank sponsorship for this podcast comes from Phoenix Fitness. So, yes, you guys know Phoenix Fitness helps me stay what I like to call Mosh Pit Fit. So why do I like to say Mosh Pit Fit? Well, I love going to concerts. I love being in mosh pits, and I want to be in those pits from the beginning of the first band to the end of the last band and make an impact in those like I like to do. So I need to make sure my cardio is at the top of the game so I have the stamina to go from beginning to end with no breaks. I got to make sure that I am strong enough to be able to deliver those hits, but also take the hits from the big dudes because those dudes can be big and it can hurt a little bit, but I got to make sure I can withstand those hits. Nate. What's up, man? So I'm always in the gym. I'm lifting a lot. I'm doing a lot of cardio, but I need to make sure I'm preparing and recovering my body correctly so I can do this day in and day out and be mosh pit fit. And that's where Phoenix Fitness comes in. They have many different types of products and supplements to help you achieve your fitness goals and be mosh pit fit like me. They have different types of pre-workouts, both sim and sim free. I use sim free stuff because I don't need any more energy than I already have. I don't need any more stimulants. I am good. They have different types of B-cell recovery compounds to help your muscles absorb nutrients post-workout. They also have different types of protein, whey protein, collagen-based protein, plant-based protein. I use their chocolate malt-flavored whey because that's what I like. They also have different types of creatine to help you build muscle, different types of multivitamins, literally anything you might need to achieve your fitness goals. Phoenix Fitness has for you so you can become mosh pit fit like me. Our listeners and viewers on YouTube get 20% use code CPP20 at fnxfit.com. Link description of the podcast, link Phoenix Fitness. Now in our feature presentation, I said one of those six guys is going to be here. One of those six groups is going to be here. We have Joey Arena from Outlier on once again for an episode where, again, your mind will thank you for listening to this whole entire thing. Joey's one of my favorite people to talk to of all time. And this episode just kept getting better and better. So are you guys ready? Enough keeping you waiting. Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. It is that time, once a year, again, to have one of my favorite guests of all time on the podcast. His band just recently released a brand new single called Heartless, which got its own SiriusXM Octane release moment. It was fantastic. They're going on tour in the summer, their own headlining run. And if you get a chance to go and see it, please do so because every time I get to talk to this guy, it is absolutely fantastic. I've gotten to see him perform live once before, and do I want to do it again? Yep. So enough with the intro. I'll just go into it. Please welcome back Joey Arena from Outlier to the podcast. So Joey, welcome back, man.
Yo. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. How has everything been going in your world since the last time we talked last year?
Things are good. Hectic. Been in the studio quite a bit. I'm like just motivated towards getting like a record done. And so I took the last month and a half off to just pretty much live in two different studios and get a lot of work done and just prepare for the future. This is like the year of consistency for us. So like that means consistent drops and just pummeling just with releases. That's kind of like the goal. So Heartless was like the kickoff for that. We were in between teams. We tried a new team with Living Dead. It worked out great. And we're like, okay, that's how we're going to kick off 2023. So Heartless is, that debut, single for the year. And we're going to just see how it goes, but it's awesome.
Let's say if you guys are going to be consistently doing a release schedule on top of what you already do with your own business on the as well. I mean, my God, I know people that work like crazy. I'm one of those people, and then I'm hearing this, and you're living in a studio for a month and a half doing that. I'm just thinking, my God, do you ever have time to sleep, Joey? My God,
dude, having a business is great. It's so time consuming. But thankfully I do things that I love. So you get lost in the hours, and the only time I take a step back is when I go, damn, there's no time to sleep. So then I go, where'd the day go? And I'm like, oh, I worked it all. So but like you got to make time for the things you love, so like I had to make time for that month to go record. And it set me back in my remodeling. But thankfully I'm on a job where nobody's living. It's a property flip, and I communicate that with the realtors or the people that I do work with, that I'll be leaving for a little bit. But you got to make that time. Things aren't going to get done unless you put forth the effort. You can manifest and do what you got to do all day long to think things are going to happen, but if there's no work ethic to follow, you ain't going far. So yeah, man. So sleep, I definitely have to work on my sleep a lot more. I'm pretty bad with my sleep. So
Oh, I understand it. I'm the same way right now. Everything podcast wise, full time job wise, and then trying to get to as many concerts as possible, potentially losing a toe in the process. It's all because, doing it for what I love, especially this. I can see you're coming from the exact same place as well. And I mean, one of the main things that's going to happen is, especially you're going to take, once 2023 is done and we go even further beyond that, you're going to end up taking a look back at the year. It's like, man, I did so much stuff. I barely got any sleep, worked as super hard, everything with all this remodeling, did everything for Outlier as much as possible, lived in the studio, basically was going out on the road, making sure that the consistent release of everything that we're going to be working on was done the best as possible. You're going to look back at that and think, it's like, this was worth it. No regrets whatsoever, or no regrets, not even a single letter. Get that tattoo going, it could fit.
Yeah, that you really I mean, dude, this is just what I love to do. So it's worth sacrificing, sleep. And if I don't have music in my life, like, to me, I don't know, there's such a void, so like I really kind of, there is no other choice for me to do it. So it's like what you do with the podcast, like I saw your a post a while ago that you had made, and how hard it is for you, probably, and juggling the time, and trying to make it grow, and doing all the things that you do. And I felt for you when I read that. And that's why it's like, it's really important to we get lost in things sometimes. We forget why we do things, and we get so focused on the growth. We get so focused on the little stats, and, oh, this month I'm at this many monthly listeners, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's like, it's so easy to get lost in all that, because even if we try not to set these caps or these things, if we don't hit them, then we're failing. But we still all strive for more. And if we don't get to a place, it's easy to be let down, I guess, with anything entertainment wise, and it's all about a consistency is key, is really just what it is at anything you do. So whether it's like wanting to lose weight, or working out, or becoming successful, or building a business from the ground up, I mean, I've been in business for over 18 years. So it's like, you spend money to make money. That's just kind of what it is, and then eventually you start profiting, and you still learn as you go. But, I like I said, I felt for you on that. And I'm really glad you're still doing it. I don't ever want you to give up on it. I know it doesn't really matter what I say on that. That's, it's your choice at the end of the day. But I think you're doing a great thing. And I think you give a lot of bands of all sizes the opportunity to share their story. And I think there needs to be more of that, because this industry is just a giant fucking boys club. You know what I'm saying? And like, eventually everybody's going to create their own clubs, and there won't be one group anymore that's able to control and gatekeep this whole industry. There's too many of us that are rising up. So can't keep everybody down. So I love what you do, man. And I want to say that. And I know that's completely off topic, probably, or I just rambled right off. But yeah, so I just overall just keep doing what you're doing, man, no matter how difficult it gets, because it's easy to question yourself. I do it all the time.
Well, I mean, a couple of things. One, knowing our conversations, we can ramble on and on about anything and just go off topic, and it's going to make sense. So that's just what we normally do. We've done that how many times already, so it just keeps happening. But second off, I mean, thank you, because making that post about it and just making it, that was something I didn't really want to do, just because it's always scary just to actually be open and honest about that stuff, especially when it
Sure.
comes to the struggles of everything. And hearing you say that, like, it actually like hit you, and it just like, you felt for me in that moment, and saying, no, don't give up on what you're doing, based on just, you're enjoying it, and you're seeing the positivity behind it. It's you saying that just because we've known each other for a couple of years now. You've been on the podcast multiple times, and every time when you're on, we have these incredible conversations. And it's just that positive connection that I've been able to create, not only with you, but also with anybody else I've had in the podcast as well. It's stuff like that. It hits me in a completely different way to remind me again why I like doing this stuff and why I continue to want to do this. Because yes, I love the music. Yes, I love being able to give that music and give the music I love in the bands I love, in the bands that are upcoming, a voice and a chance to get seen and a chance to get noticed. But it's really, for me, I love every time seeing that little icon pop up in the Zoom corner. It says like, hey, this person's ready to be coming to the meeting. And the reason is because I just get this rush of positivity from it. And it's just that positive connection that just, I crave it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I could have 5 of these scheduled in a day, and in between them, I might just be like, oh, this is like tiring. This is nuts. But then right when that happens, the energy just gets going once again. I could be doing, I've been going crazy. I haven't gotten much sleep in the past week, and now I'm here talking with you. I'm like, my energy is just flying once again. And even from your perspective as well, again, everything with the biz, everything with the music, it's making you happy, and it's creating that positive impact with so many other people as well. Not only the fans that you have and the people that love your music, but also the people that you work alongside as well. Because every time I'm seeing different things come out with Outlier, I'm like taking a look at the credits. I'm still seeing you're constantly working with JD, and it's like, this is fucking awesome. It's, if you guys weren't putting out having that positive interaction with so many different people, not only the ones that you're listening to music, but also the people you're working with, you would be having this consistency coming forward, and people consistently returning to the band over and over and over again, and creating that positive impact on people whenever they listen to Outlier.
Yeah, man, relationships are everything. And that's the one thing that is, I would say, carried this band as far as it's become, or as far as it's gotten. And because of that, like um, that's solely what it is, man. At the end of the day, it's relationships. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, you know, unfortunately in this industry, there's a lot of fake relationships. There's a lot of guys who, you know, uh, suck dick to get their dick sucked. You know what I'm saying? And like, for a lack of better phrasing, but like, it's just so disingenuine by a lot of people. And I pride myself on just genuine friendships, and I'm not going to put up a false front. If you don't like me because of who I am or what I like, or whatever, that's your choice. You got to live with that. I don't care. But like, because I am genuine to myself, and I'm genuine and authentic, and that to those around me, I feel that I naturally filter the people that I want to surround myself with, and I get quality over quantity in my eyes. So um having those friendships is just so key. And they help carry you, they get you places. And again, going back to where it all began with Motionless and White, like just Chris Motionless is the reason why Octane even looked in our direction in the beginning. So I'll never forget that, and I'll never take it away. And there's time, like I'll still, if it like ever comes up, I'll still drop a thank you to him again to this day, because like I'll never forget things like that. And sometimes I'm like, yo, please don't think I'm blowing smoke. It's just genuine gratitude though, because if you start getting to a point, there's time where things in, like, in a band's career where you work so hard in the studio, and then when you drop it and things go beyond your expectations, it's easy to get caught into the mix of it all, and like, wow, this is finally getting a burst of somewhat being easy, and it's not so taxing. And I think people get caught up in that. And I think it's really about the journey of anything you do. And I'm going to always look back and just appreciate those that like were there for me, because there's a lot of people that say no, or a lot of people that leave you on red. There's a lot of people that don't want to fuck with anybody, and then eventually those bands rise up. And that's why you hear bands like, like Memphis Mayfire. Like, I mean, they had songs way back in the day about people like, pretty much turning them down or turning an eye on that, like just not giving them the time of day. You know what I'm saying? And like every band has had that at some point in their career. And But it's the friendships, that like carry and help bring bands further ahead and stuff like that. So, and I'm sure I can relate that with anything, even remodeling. I mean,
Mm.
the friends that have helped like refer me. There's people that refer me and I've never even done work on their
Mhm.
house. So that's just like a friendship, and they're getting me business just because it's like they either want to see me eat or because they see my work and they think it's good. Like, I think it's also because I pride myself on like being a man of my word. I show up half the time. Like, me just showing up impresses people because I'm not the typical contractor. Like, all the stereotypes and stuff like that, I break the mold for that. So I relate a lot of the stuff in like remodeling, and like who I am as a person just translates, like into the music world. And again, it's understanding that this is a business, and understanding that not everybody's going to be your friend, and understanding that you got to, eat shit to take a shit, and you gotta like, spend money to make money. And but through all that, it's the friendships. That's what's
Mhm.
carry you. That's your foundations.
And that's even like from my perspective as well. It's again the friendships I made with people from the podcast. Or I think about going to all these shows and the amount of times I see so many people, so many of the same people, and talk with them. And sometimes I don't even remember their names. I will always remember their faces, but it's just people I connect with by just, hey, we were in this mosh pit together. No, we were in this one. We were in this one. And then getting to talk to these people, getting to know them, building up these friendships. So I can be here in Milwaukee and I can be in these pits and people know me. I can go to Mass and go to Green Bay. I can go down to Chicago and it's like 20 people know me from the moment I walk in. And
Right.
they listen to the podcast, or they send the podcast to their friends because they just enjoy the fact that, we're in the crowd together having a blast. All of a sudden, Wage War's playing, Death Roll comes on, and we're all going absolutely ape crazy, hitting each other as hard as possible. But at the end of the song, everyone's high-fiving and giving each other hugs because we just connect with each other on such a deep level and that friendship kind of space. And when it comes to the music industry, I mean, it's the same thing that you're seeing too. And it just speaks volumes to specifically for you guys. And I want to make this stand out for you specifically, talking with you and seeing the people you're connecting with. It speaks to your character as a whole specifically, because when you're saying, you're getting who you are, you're not putting up any kind of front, and you're getting those quality friendships and those quality relationships over quantity. It's something where, I mean, anytime I hear people talk about Outlier or see anything talked about, there's always this certain like context, or this certain tone, even when people are talking or whether they're typing, you can always pick up on it. And there's this way of this respectful integrity that is just directly speaking to your character as a whole. And you're, again, seeing how many people have got, like, talking with people that you've gone out on the road with, and people that have played alongside you that have had in the podcast. Every time I see someone that's played with Outlier, I always kind of want to ask and be like, hey, you guys play with Outlier, I always love talking to them in the podcast, and they have nothing but the most positive things to say about you because you create those positive relationships that are going to last you for so long. You're seeing it what happened in business, especially with all the remodeling stuff, and in the music industry, boom, you're hitting it on every step of the way.
Thank you, dude. And I really love hearing that. I really do, because it's always what people say when you're not around, right? So that's like really what, that'll tell you the truth of certain things. But I love hearing that. I really do. And I think that, again, having a business, it kind of almost trains you to be how you represent yourself and like what you want, and you kind of are what you attract. And like a lot of all these little practices and stuff like that, it just goes right over into the band. And like the one thing, I don't know how to not be myself. This is why I'm horrible at TikTok. This is why I'm horrible at certain things. Like the cringe element of certain things out there is like, I would just make a lousy actor, because honestly, I don't know how to like not be myself. And perhaps there's a role in acting for that somewhere, but I am just like, I pride myself on it. And I think that like, I had shitty friendships when I was younger, and you try to like, I just, as you're young and you're trying to find yourself, sometimes you kind of melt into the clique you're hanging out with a little bit, and you could kind of almost lose yourself, or you kind of take a step back and go, man, I don't like who I'm becoming, or like what I am. So I think that like, it's good to kind of figure out who you are, accept who you are, love who you are, like genuinely, and laugh at yourself, and don't take yourself serious. I laugh at myself so much. I pick on myself. I am my own worst critic. I shit on myself all day long. And but I do it because I can handle like constructive criticism. And I know that in order to be better and get better with anything and be a better friend or be a better boyfriend or be a better musician, it's going to take effort, practice, self reflection, um, and just humbling my fucking self out, checking my ego, making my ego as checked as much as humanly possible. Um, and yeah, I really, it is, man. It is quality over quantity for me all day long. I don't care. I can have a million acquaintances, but it will not mean more to me than five, a handful of just genuine friends. There's a bond, like there's JD, my producer. It's great to like call him my producer, but it's even better to call him a friend of like, I don't know, 20 fucking years I've known him. So it's like he's one of my best friends, and it just happens to work out that we can have a business relationship aside from personal. And when it's time to pay the bill, it's not weird. You know what I'm saying? That's just because I respect him. I respect his business, and I'm a businessman. And I mean, I remodeled his bathroom at his house. So like we're able to kind of like cross into this, business and personal relationship and still have it work out. So Evan McKeever, who's another one of our co-producers, our producers. Evan and I go way far back. We did the first EP together. He's a good friend. Steve Sobchak, who's another one of my producers, he's a good friend. I just think that like a lot of these guys, though I have working relationships with them, I just call them friends as well. And I think that's very important, because when you're writing music with your friends and they understand you because they are your friend, you're getting better representation in your music. You're getting more stuff tailored to, me as a person or what I want to write about and stuff like that. So it's great. Like the songs that we write, everything is real for the first time in my music career. Like, at least as a vocalist, I was a guitar player back in the day, but like, and when I started writing vocals, Outlier became the first most like authentic, like lyrical, just it's my diary. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. And so, and that also comes with writing music with your friends who also know you and know where you're coming from and where you're at in your life. So
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Especially, I will still remember this, the time when we were on the podcast and JD was on with us as well. We were talking about the Arena Side project, and he was talking about working alongside you. And it's like with the vocals, it's constantly working and trying to push you to go further. It's like you're gonna do a take, it's gonna go well, but do I believe you? It's like, but do I believe what you're saying? And constantly being able to be, have a relationship with someone where they're going to push you to do the best as possible. And there's a lot of people in the music industry that might have certain egos behind them that says, oh no, that first one was good. I'm not doing this again. I'm not listening to you. I know more than you, kind of thing. But it's, especially having him as a friend, just outside of the whole entire business aspect and with the producing and, you remodeling his bathroom, but having that friendship with him, he understands more about you, so that when, you're singing and you're recording these vocals, there's going to be some aspect of him that is going to be more connected emotionally with what you're trying to portray. So he's going to be listening for that. He's going to be listening for that specifically, so that when it hits, even if it's going to be on like the 50th take, you're getting the best quality possible, because the person that's producing knows what you're trying to go for, and is going to push you to get to that point, even if you don't think you can get there yourself.
He is very hard on me, and he's also my cheerleader at the same time. It's he is so we just have a special friendship to where if it sucks, it's just, again, it's like, yo, that sucks, do it again. There's no like, I don't know, man. I just got thick fucking skin, bro. Nothing like phases me. Like it takes a lot for me to get like offended or bothered. Like, dude, like I'm so fucking flawed and human. I know I'm gonna sound shitty. There's days I'm gonna be like probably the worst singer in the fucking world. And then there's days where I'm gonna be like, damn, I kind of impressed myself a little bit with room to grow. But like but I take vocal lessons, and I'm learning new techniques of everything, because I am just a sponge. I mean, I think that's always been me though. Like with everything I do, I don't go into anything thinking I know what I'm doing or I'm the best or anything. I'm constantly taking information from all resources and applying it to where it's needed, and going, and that's it. I'll never be a person that's like, I don't roll out of bed. I'm not a naturally gifted vocalist. Now, if you ask me to play guitar, well, I have a lot more confidence and stuff like that. But like, vocals is something like, I'm constantly pushing myself as a vocalist. I'm trying all sorts of new things and seeing what my voice can do. So like every track, it's going to kind of like, I mean, we Outlier, I like to experiment a lot in the writing process. And I don't, not just musically, but vocally, because the vocals have to reflect, the attitude or the emotion behind the song. So the character has to be there. It's got to reflect. And I think Heartless, coming, kind of to it all, like Heartless is, I did a lot of different stuff when I started like working with Heartless. I applied some stuff that I kind of learned in the, like when I was singing some of the arena stuff, which is more of like a pop melody and, more like different like vocal runs and like little like flutters and stuff like that. And so like I applied stuff like that into Heartless a little bit. And it's fun to just kind of melt different sounds together. So, but
Yeah.
again, and that comes from checking my shit and taking lessons and asking other good vocalists that I'm friends with, like, yo, how do you get to that character? How do you do that? Like, what, because we all vocalists, we have our own lingo, like, just like drummers have their own talk too. Vocalists have their own lingo. A lot of us are very psychological. Like when we have shapes and weird things in our head as we're like doing certain things. Like it's pretty wild. So like my vocal coach is awesome because he speaks to me like that. So if like he wants me to like create this sound or this character, he goes, think long and bring the voice to the front of the face. So it's like, and I'm like, oh, I understand that. I get that. Like that's how I think. So but yeah, man, it is good to have your friend as your producer. So, and somebody who wants to see you win. I know, like in the back of my mind, if he's hard on me, it's just because he wants to get the absolute best out of me. And I think that comes with trust. And I think that's the beauty of sometimes why it's good to work with friends.
Oh, absolutely. And kind of going into Heartless as well a little bit with that. Just from when I first heard it, I was listening to the vocals because, of course, knowing you, I'm like, I'm going to be a little more hard on Joey than anybody else in the band because I want to see what comes out. And I've listened, like, from your other music, like, I'm expecting something a little more heavy, a little more something raw, a little more something up there. And all of a sudden, listen to the vocals, and it's softer, it has this more melodic flow to a more consistent flow. And I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder what's kind of going on here, just because I wasn't expecting it in my mind. So I had to be open to something completely different. But as the song kind of went on further and further, kind of getting the vibe, getting the emotion, getting the feel of it, I'm like, I can see why you're doing this, but it also shows a completely different aspect and a completely different added range to what you're able to do. But then the bridge comes in and you're able to hit that a lot harder, like kind of like what I would be expecting, like, let's go. However, it still had that same consistent feel and flow from the verses, from the chorus, in terms of just how it went from, how the vocal patterns flowed, but the heaviness was back there. So everything kind of consistently worked together. And from a vocalist standpoint, if you're going to be going from sometimes some softer stuff, a little bit more full force out there, having the voice in the front, and then all of a sudden going heavier at the same time and mixing all in the same song, but keeping that consistent flow, that's not going to be something that's going to be easy to do, to maintain and have it sound like a consistent piece of music without having it sound like you maybe spliced 2 or 3 songs together and just puzzle piece them together. You clearly didn't do it on this one. And that was one thing that stood out to me for this track, was just how the vocals were not what I was expecting, but went in a varying direction, but the flow of each spot stayed the same. So that flow and the consistency in the song kept you going from start to finish without missing a beat.
That's so I loved it because the artwork definitely threw people off. I think when we were hyping it, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fucking brutal." It's like,
I was one of those people,
dude. And I so knew what I was doing when I did it. Like, it's one of those things. It's like sales 101. You gotta like reel them in, so you get something really bloody and graphic, and it's like, but it's the song. The song is it's sadness, dude. It's like it's the song is about my first experience ever in a really abusive relationship. And I'm not gonna say toxic because I'm so fucking over that word. Everybody,
Thank you.
everything
Thank
is
you.
everything's toxic, and it's like everything's narcissism. People are just saying shit without even knowing the definition half the time. So it's an overly used word, but it does apply. But I'm not going to use it. I'm going to say abusive because it's my story, and I can fucking do that. Damn it. But it was physical, not from me, but it was mental. It was emasculating at times. And what ends up happening is I was with this person for 5 years, and you end up it ends up you end up start losing your self-worth so much because somebody's taking and taking
Mhm.
and taking. So you start losing your self-worth, and you end up thinking that this is what you deserve. So which is why the bridge, I've become the monster. So like born again, and like I'm like forgetting my lyrics right now, but like so it's like I've become what I despise is what I'm trying to say. So the tail end, and like I become the monster. It's like I've become what I despise. So like you almost turn into this thing because you have nothing left to give. You have nothing left to even offer yourself. So you become this hollowed out version of yourself. Um so that's kind of like what the song was, and I needed the character to kind of like to sound defeated, because it was a very defeating time in my life. And I think the worst part was I had lost my grandmother in the midst of all this relationship. And she pretty much raised me, and it was like it was the first time I ever experienced sadness and depression in my life. Like to that extent. I mean, dude, and it's so funny to like think back and like talk about right now, because I've had a lot of fuck shit happened to me in my life that I used to put off and never fucking talked about. But thank God for therapy. We can talk about these things now. But
Mhm.
um, having experienced a loss while in a fucking horrible relationship, I became so fucking numb. Numb is an understatement. I just coasted. I felt like, life had been like the earth had been removed from under my feet, and I was just floating in fucking space. And every day went into the next, um, where the highlight of my day was just literally taking a shower and getting back in bed. I could not get out of bed. It was the first time in my life. Like I said, it was the first time I ever experienced depression. And it wasn't just a mental thing, but what it did to me physically, and it just fucked me up. So the song was about that time in my life, and then still remaining in that relationship, not out of necessarily choice, but because I had experienced the worst loss of my life while in this. And when
Mhm.
your every day blends into the next, you actually lose track of time. I lost track of time, at least. And the next thing I know, 2 years later, we're actually finally ending this fucking thing. But it was it was wild, man. So like again, it almost becomes contagious. It's like a virus. An abusive relationship can almost become a virus, and you catch it, and then once you get out of it, I became so cold. I was like anti-relationship with a lot of like, you know, some like really awesome women that try to like want more out of me, but I was like, nope, don't want a relationship. And sometimes hearts get broken along the way, but I remain transparent and with my feelings, not leading anybody on for anything. But but it's sad though, because I'm sure that some of them like really cared about me, but I was so not willing to let love in because I didn't feel anything for myself. Um, so if you're in an abusive relationship, uh, try to get out as soon as possible because it can fucking consume you. And it can almost alter us. I mean, dude, hurt people. And,
Mhm.
I look back at my ex and I understand her. I don't condone anything that happened, but I understand her because I like looked so deep into her past, and this poor girl grew up like, I say poor girl because like um ironically today we're friends. So it's funny to talk about this now, and it's 2 years ago. I met up with her after 2 years of like fucking hating her. I loathe her with like every inch of my body, and I just messaged her randomly, and like unblocked her, messaged her, and I said, hey, let's grab coffee. And she was like so caught off guard, and I'm like, this is not a trick. I just want to let this go. I'm done carrying hate for you. It was doing more harm than good. It was stopping me from moving on in my life, like as in welcoming love, because I'm carrying hate. And it's more burdensome for me to carry. And it was the first time I've ever done this in my life. And people are like, dude, how could you do that? Like some of my friends are like, dude, she was so bad to you. How could you do that? And I'm like, because I don't give a fuck anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Mm-hmm.
was a growing pain is the way I look at it. And at the core of it all, ironically, there's a friendship that I know that she would have my back, which is so weird. There's a weird piece, and I don't expect everybody to understand it. Normally, I would hold it. I mean, dude,
Mm-hmm.
I hated every inch of me hated her, but I let it go. It was stopping me from moving on and getting into a new relationship. It was stopping me from like enjoying certain things. It was stopping me from actually loving myself because I spent more time hating somebody else, and I just let it the fuck go. I don't fucking care anymore to carry it. Um, and I don't know if it's because I've had more fucked up shit in my life happen to me than the average person. And when you kind of get fucked up, really fucked up, like, I guess I'll just open up about it since this might be out of context for people, but like, well, I mean, when you're raised by a single mother, a father who wants nothing to do with you from birth, because your mom's the other woman, and then you get an abusive stepfather at the age of like 9, and then he just pummels the shit out of you for until you're 17 years old. You're thrown out on the streets. You're like, I'm at practice with my old band. I get a phone call from my mom because my mom moved to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and so my mom left. My grandmother raised, like, so all of these things. This is the thing. These are the things that shaped you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? These are the things that shape somebody. And people who don't know me, they can judge me all the fuck they want. They don't know shit about me. I am as self-made as they fucking get. I was selling jobs without having the tools to do the jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like I like people say hate just jealous motherfuckers will say whatever the fuck they want. Somebody said I heard one time I was a trust fund baby. My family's so fucking. I come from nothing. Like, shut the fuck up, you ignorant motherfucker. You don't even know me. Shut the fuck up. Like, because anybody will try to take anything away from
Mm-hmm.
you. You know what I'm saying? When you start climbing and making something of yourself, everybody's gonna try to say some stupid, ignorant shit because they just deep down inside they fucking hate themselves. And like again, I don't let it bother me because A, I know none of them would say shit to my fucking face, and B, at the end of the day, my struggles are way more painful than anything somebody could say about me. Any fucking nasty like rumor somebody could try to make up. Your words don't mean anything to me. And that's why today society needs to get this over the fucking words thing. Guess what, dude? Stop giving value to words. Stop giving value to what people say. And if they don't love you and don't, who gives a fuck? Who cares? It's because you don't love yourself. That's what it is. So like I love me. And I don't give a fuck what people say. They could say I'm a trust fund, but I don't give a fuck. It's could not be further from the fucking truth. But like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And it's so freeing to not give a fuck what anybody thinks about you at the end of the day. And again, I've been through way worse shit in my life. I mean, a Vietnam veteran who beat the shit out of me for 9 years of my fucking life, like beat the shit out of me with fucking hands the size of his fucking fist. You think your fucking words are going to mean anything to me when I had some fucking psychopath look for any excuse to fucking beat on me? Fuck off, bro. You ain't shit. Fuck off. So like that's why now I could be friends with my ex because at the end of the day, that pain was fucking temporary. And so what? It says a lot about her more than me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it's like, yeah, like, it was the first time I experienced it. It's new. It's like, oh, what the fuck is that? But at the same time, it's like, I've been through worse. You know what I'm saying? And I know that like she got caught up in her feelings. She got caught up in her pain, and her pain
Mhm.
stemmed from something else. And then how other people treated her, those people were hurt too. So hurt people. And you got to nip it in the ass. So before I hurt anybody, you know what I'm saying, took those negative things from that relationship and put them into a future relationship, I needed to let go of that shit. And then I can move forward and completely open and welcoming of love, new love. And that's love for myself and love from another. So
And I mean, holy shit, there's so much in there that I'm just listening to, just thinking about where Heartless comes from. Just the defeated sound throughout the verses, it adds so much more context to it. Even when I was going through the song, just I really picked up on the whole entire breakup aspect of it, and then just feeling numb to a certain point, not really feeling anything at all, feeling like there's an emptiness there. And it's just that's where that defeated feeling comes in. So by you writing that and really having that vocal piece come out, first off, well done, because it absolutely hit every step of the way in terms of how I was connecting with the song once I really got into it and got past the fact where it was like, wait a minute, this artwork for this single is absolutely brutal. I'm waiting for something that's going to be heavy and hard, and all of a sudden, this was not necessarily what I was expecting, but holy shit, you went brutal and hard in a completely different way. And
yeah.
wrapping up all the things that you've gone through in life and seeing that it's like, nobody can do anything else to you that's going to potentially hurt you as bad as some of these other things, because you've gone through worse and everything that's gone on with this ex, but then you going and reaching out to her and kind of like burying the hatchet in a way so that you can move on. You cannot harbor that hate anymore, and you can move on so that you can, do better for yourself, be in a better relationship, get past all of that. Honestly, even when you were talking about that, I started thinking to myself too, I'm like, wait a minute, am I holding on to something that's preventing me from potentially doing something like that? Because maybe I am, maybe I have been, and maybe I need to do something like that to just put myself in a better position and just to kind of let go of that, so I can really more or less embrace more of like my full self, instead of just using that piece as like a thing that might just be a thing to hang on to anger, a thing that might be holding me back. But so much of that is just wrapped up into so many things. But it speaks to just the character that you have and the confidence that you have in yourself and the trust that you have in yourself. So where people can say whatever they're going to say, and you're going to look at it as it's just, it's just words. Or if someone's going to be like what your ex was, and then over time, you're able to put it more into context with what she went through, potentially even connect with that, and then bury the hatchet over something like that, even everything that's gone on. That is something that is truly incredible. And I mean, that speaks to your integrity. That speaks to your character. I don't know any other way to put it. Like that is, I'm every time I talk with you, I'm blown away by something, and it just keeps getting like more and more crazy. Like this is I can't even like speak to this much more. Like I'm absolutely blown away by this in the most positive way possible. Like this is crazy.
Well, again, man, I really gotta like, I'm open, and I'm gonna be open about my life a lot more now, because I used to be very embarrassed of my life. I also suppressed a lot of things, and in therapy, I was told that I make excuses for those that have hurt me. So like my youth and all that shit, like from the beginning, it's like neglect, abandonment, and physical fucking abuse. And so it's like, I'm kind of a recipe for disaster. I was almost like made to fail in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? But it took a lot of work and a lot of alone time. Like a lot of people don't know this, but like I like being alone a lot. And I think like when I'm on the road, I'm always at the merch table. I like make sure I shake everybody's fucking hand that is there for us or that wants to meet me, whoever. I sit there, I get to know everybody, I hear their stories, and like when people write us and say what our music has done for them, and like I now know that there's a greater purpose other than just me releasing my music, but being my most authentic, true self. And then what you just said, yo, it's making me think maybe I got something I got to release. That is like, that's the fucking power of a message, bro. And that is like the thing that I'm learning, and why I need to talk about my shit more, because I never wanted to. Like I said, I made excuses for it. I was overly private, and I carried it. Like I carried all that shit every fucking day of my life, and I wore it. And it was it's so much more of a fucking burden to myself, to carry my own pain. Like when I already fucking endured it, why carry it? Like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like I'm reliving a beating 80 times over. It's like, just let it go. Like, cut the shit and like fucking drop it and walk. You know what I'm saying? And like, there's an amount of pride that I try to swallow in certain things, and letting go of that hate for my ex was me swallowing my pride, because I knew, and I said to her, I'm like, and I'll give her the respect that she had reached out to me multiple times over that course of those 2 years. I never responded to her though. And then eventually it led to me just blocking her, because I didn't want any sort of, I just didn't want to see it anymore. You know what I'm saying? I thought that would fix the hatred, but instead it didn't. So that's when I was like, unblock. Okay, you know what? And I said, listen, I'm just going to let it all out. You don't have to say anything. I'm not even looking for an apology. It was literally just shedding this fucking weight. And that's all that it was, bro. So if you got something to do in your life, in your personal life, do it for you, and good things, I believe, will follow. I think karma is also not just how you treat other people, but I think it's how you treat yourself. Karma, this karmic wave. So I always say, and I know it's a famous quote, and I can't believe I'm forgetting who fucking said it. So one of my favorite quotes is, how people treat you determines their karma. How you respond determines yours. But I believe that even for yourself, if you're bad to yourself, you're going to welcome bad shit for yourself. I did it. I was in a bad place when I got into that relationship. I wasn't focusing on myself. I wasn't loving myself. I got into a bad fucking place, which then got me into a bad relationship. And then it just, this snowball into bad shit. So I think that's something that should be probably, people should maybe chew on and like digest a little bit, is how they treat themselves. I believe it's good to kind of beat on yourself and laugh at yourself, but do it with constructive criticism. Do it with love. It's all about intention. You know what I'm saying? So beat on yourself, but do it with love. Do it because, like how JD does it with me. You know what I'm saying? He's hard on me at times, but it's with love. I know it's from love, even though he doesn't go, yo, I love you, but that fucking sucks. I know his heart. I know his heart. And you know your heart. We know our own hearts. So it's like, if you beat up on yourself, do it with love. And it is freeing, man. It's super freeing to let shit go. And this is coming from a person who carried it for so fucking long. And it's tiring. That's why those verses are defeated. It was so tiring to carry that. And like, flesh and bone, you cut me open, made yourself at home. Like you split me open, made yourself at home. Like that's it. Like, somebody just dissects you and gets inside. And then all of a sudden they just like live and they fester, and that hatred just sits. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, again, it's just healthy to let it go.
I mean, when it comes to healthy to let it go, you're just, every example that you're giving right now is just, it stands the testament of everything. And that quote about karma, when you believe it, about, you may kind of make it your own self as well. If you're bad on yourself, then of course, the karma's going to be bad towards you. But if you're able to to make that pause, let it go, and just drop that weight and that pain off of you, because it happened. But if you're going to continue to carry it on with you, it's just going to stay consistently over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's going to begin to affect so many different aspects of your life. And I can kind of attest that as well. When I let some things harbor on me, let that pain harbor on me and carried it with me, haven't been able to be fully open in certain situations, specifically in the relationship side of things, because I've been kind of holding on to some of these instances, some of these experiences that have been much more negative in that space. And I don't want to feel, and it's like, I don't want to feel that pain again, but it's because I'm still carrying it in a certain capacity. And now, just from this conversation, thinking about Heartless, now I'm thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have to reach out to some of these people and just, kind of essentially, in a way, maybe do it differently, but do something similar to you did, where reach out to them and find a way to just kind of, speak that piece and just let that pain go finally, so that, going forward, when it comes to focusing on everything with the podcast, focusing on everything, just going to concerts, enjoying life, and then just just not having to worry about it, and then just focusing on, what's going to bring that positivity, not only to myself, but also to the people that are around me, the people that I care about. What could I do for that? If I'm holding on to that pain, if I'm holding on to that and I'm keep dragging along with me, eventually it's going to keep seeping into every little aspect, whether you're trying to use it for a positive, or that pain's going to be, and it's always going to be negative at some point, because you're carrying on to some sort of trauma. And it's just, it's not good. And from everything you've gone through, I mean, you're attesting to it. As take a look at where you are now, and I mean, you have your own business. Outlier is doing what you're doing, what you love, and a lot of that pain from a lot of that past is made you the person you are today. You've been able to, drop a lot of that pain from the back and just be like, okay, now I'm gonna let go of this, move forward. A lot of positive karma coming your way, and just the character and the integrity that you not only I was gonna say that you project as a person from a very genuine place just shines so brightly, to the point where, I mean, you're seeing so many quality relationships come in your life, whether it's from, more that romantic side, maybe family side, friend side, the music side, the business side. You're seeing so many of those quality relationships come to the forefront because of that integrity and that character of yourself just shining brightly through you.
Yeah, man. It's it took me a long time. I mean, it's I wasn't this way, and I that's why I really advocate for people like going to therapy. And I think we have a thing in society where we like to talk about mental health a lot, but we don't fucking practice it. I mean, I think that's a lot in society. Everything we do, we whatever we preach about, we barely walk. And I finally got myself right. I went to therapy, and it was a grief counselor because I knew I had a lot of grief from the loss of my grandmother. And in that, this woman has been amazing. She has actually just unboxed so many different parts of my life, and I found like things that related to one another that would be at way different points in my life, because I never like connected the dot, or I never like fixed this one thing that turned into that problem. And like, so like letting go of these things slowly but surely, it becomes, less weight. You start learning about yourself, and you start understanding yourself more, and how you operate, and you can kind of dissect yourself a little bit better if there's things that you do want to change about yourself. I'm constantly always trying to change, like in hopes for the better. um, but again, none of us are fucking perfect. And you know it, it's on us as individuals to be our own critics, and be the people that we want to be, not what society wants us to be, but who we want. We got to live with ourselves. Society doesn't have to live with you. Just sign off the fucking internet. Sign off of Twitter. If people don't like who you are, sign off. Because at the end of the day, you're going to walk down the street, and you're going to like who you are if you genuinely like who you are. So I think that like is really, very important. Everybody needs to seek some therapy in some way in their life. I believe that they're so important. They should be as important as your yearly fucking every 6 month dental check-in. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're fine, you should have a 6 month like check-in with a therapist or somebody. Because everybody has like some sort of like, whether it's grief, trauma, even just basic talk therapy, because some people feel lonely, and don't know why. Like, um, I just think they're like, I never wanted to say like, oh, I see a therapist, because I know some people are gonna be like, oh, he's fucking crazy. No, dude, I'm fucking sad. That's all that it
Mm-hmm.
is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't walk around like, I don't like want to kill myself or anything like that, or like cut my wrist. Like, I don't have like any suicidal thoughts, but every now and then I'll feel the loss of my grandmother, and it'll kind of hit me like a fucking tidal wave, and then I'll get choked up, and then I'll have to isolate myself from society like real fast, because like that's grief, you know what I'm saying? And like, you kind of almost like shut down. And then there's times where like I feel bad, like, because I'll be around friends, and like I won't be in a mood to like really talk. And it's not for any reason. It's not because I don't love them or I don't want to be around them, but it's because I'm feeling a wave of sadness just that came out of nowhere, and it just sits, and you just feel it like creeping up on you, and it's like, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to control this one, so I have to like distance myself. And um so like, no matter what it is, I think that it's important that people just seek therapy. And not, I don't know. I just think it would be beneficial. I think that people also should exercise. Like today, I instead of going to the gym, I went for a walk because I really needed some fucking sun in my life. And I just went for a walk at this awesome place around a reservoir up here in Rochester. And it just overlooks the city. And I just went for a walk. You know what I'm saying? And instead of doing like, I lifted heavy yesterday, so I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do like, I'm just gonna go for a walk because there's a whole other exercise that I need, like the brain, the heart. This is a
Mhm.
whole different exercise. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow I'll lift heavy again. You know what I'm saying? But today I needed to exercise my fucking brain, get my mental shit right, get some vitamin D, and like just because releases are very stressful for me. I'm very hands on. I design the
Mhm.
artwork, for the most part. I design our merchandise for the most part. I line everything up. I talk to my publicist. I talk to my label. I
Mhm.
talk to my managers. I talk to my booking agent. I talk to my producers. I talk to my next, like, I talk to the videographer. I talk, like, I do so much and my phone's constantly going, and releases are so exciting to see the responses, but leading up to them are
Mhm.
so fucking taxing for me that it's like I get the release out and then I kind of just like I need like all that decompressing, because we are DIY and we choose to be DIY, and the noises that we're making is like, it's pretty damn cool to look back and not, you know like, we could say we did it
Mhm.
ourselves, and you know what I'm saying. So that's, um I don't know, it's neither here or there, but yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's important to have your outlets for sure.
Yeah, and completely throughout this conversation, it is very clear that when it comes to finding those outlets and understanding yourself, I mean, you are pretty much. I know people that do yoga that meditate a lot, but no one seems to be as centered within themselves and more understanding of where they are within themselves and how to make sure that they're mentally as healthy as possible and getting that help out than you are right now. So it is. I mean, this it was
I
absolutely
try, but I
incredible.
don't
Yeah.
know if I'm that good at it. But I try,
Yeah.
man.
I
I
mean,
try.
it's like, what was it? 90% of everything is just showing up, and like you're showing up for yourself at this point.
Yeah,
So it is
yeah,
absolutely. I know. I've kind of run over a little bit of time from what we expected. I have one more question for you if you got
sure.
time for it. It was
Yeah, 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 yeah.
something you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to come back to it at some point, but the conversation we were having was way too good. But it kind of wraps in back with the whole entire relation, keeping those positive relationships, the integrity thing. How is it Chris Motionless was the one that made Octane, take a look at Outlier? What was his role in that? Because when you said that, I was like, wait a minute. How did that happen? I'm curious about that one, man.
Oh, I thought I told you that. I'm sorry. So that happened. COVID, the year of COVID. Obviously shit on everybody's plans, but
Mm-hmm.
that year, had that year gone through, uh, who knows where we would be right now. But we had, like, the way it was originally intended. We were doing the Alisana 10-year anniversary of the Emptiness tour, and then we were immediately hopping off. Like, the date ended, the next day we were going out with Motionless in White, Knocked Loose, and Stick to Your Guns, and that was, we got that tour. We had announced both tours. It was awesome. It was so much. It was going to be so much of touring between both tours being back to back. We were going to be on the road for a long time, but we were excited about it. And uh, obviously, with COVID and everything shutting down, um, I got a phone call. So we shot a music video for a song called "All I Need," and I was on the video set, and I get a phone call from JD, and Chris and him were together, and like, I answer the phone. I'm like, "Yo, what up, dog?" And thinking it's JD, and Chris goes, "Yo," and I'm like, "What up?" And so he goes, "Listen, dude, I'm so sorry that the tour didn't happen. Um, you know, yeah." He's like, "I'm sorry that the tour that fell through." He goes, "But I thought it might, make it a little bit better. I just wanted to give you a heads up. You're going to be on my Sirius XM Octane takeover." And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, thank you so much. Holy shit." So that was awesome. I didn't really anticipate that, and then I listened to it. It was just awesome. So he did his takeover on Octane. We were played, and then so that like aired for a week, and then right after, dude, like it was full ad into rotation in accelerator, like Buried Me Alive had just fucking soared, and we were being played for like I think 4 months or something like that. They played the song in like accelerator, and it was all because of Chris, solely because of Chris. Like we didn't give it to them, nothing happened. It was just Chris literally putting it in his takeover. And it just shows that like one thing can happen and it just catapults. And just from friendship, man. So, you know, appreciate, get some quality fucking friends in your life and appreciate the fuck out of them, whether they do things or not. Even their friendship alone of just being a quality good friend should be more than enough. But when they do dope shit like that, it's even more something to be fucking grateful for, and never ever 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 forget to count your blessings. So, and again, I don't know if it's because of my upbringing in my life and stuff, and just the people that did turn their back on me. It's maybe it allows me to appreciate those who don't. You know what I'm saying? It allows me to appreciate the quality. But again, I think that's why it's like I don't look back on my life and think anything bad. I actually look back at it and I'm so grateful in the most fucked way. I'm so grateful that it happened. Which is so, again, it's like, how could you be friends with your ex who was so shitty to you? It's because it fucking shapes you, dude. I don't know, man. I take the beating and I just go like, all right, and that's it. And I wear that fucking scar like a badge of honor, and that's really all that it is. It's, I don't know, man. You're alive. You know what I'm saying? I'm healthy. I'm alive, and I'm self-made. Like, you know, I don't give myself like I'm practicing it right now, but I don't ever give myself credit. But like right now, for some reason, I'm having this moment where I should give myself a little bit of credit. But like, I think it's important that everybody gives themselves some fucking credit. And I don't know, man. Life is fucking wild. You just got to enjoy the fucking ride. It's all that it is. It comes with its bumps and bruises, but that's it.
It's wild. We got to enjoy the ride. And one of the main things is, before we close this out, is out of all the stuff that's happening to you in life, and there's a lot of times where you could have just kind of given in and just, you know, kind of gone down the same path and like kind of just blamed all that stuff for potentially making you a certain way. But instead, you've used that and you've been able to shed the, you know, the pain from it. You've been able to shed the weight of all that and become the person you are today. This just positive, you know, character driven, full of integrity, just everywhere, ever about it, where the people that connect with the people that know you, whether it's from a business standpoint, music standpoint, friendship standpoint, family, whatever it might be, they connect with you on such a positive way. And all the stuff that's happened in your life has somehow made you into this absolute, just, you know, no one's a perfect person, but just a fantastic person overall. Thank you, where, you know, having a chance to just talk to you like this on a podcast, it's something that I know we do it once a year, and it's something I look forward to every single year. It's something where whenever I think of, you know, the top people have asked me, like, who are your top 5 guests in the podcast that you've ever had on, your name is always in that top 5 no matter what. And it's something that sticks in my head where it's like, yep, who's your favorite? It's like, yep, I've got my list of 5. And is Joey Arena on there? Oh yeah, he is on that list, and he's never leaving that list. It's stuck there. And it's somewhere now thinking about it too. It's just, I'm thinking about myself during this podcast too, and like starting to think, man, am I holding on to certain things? Should I be potentially, you know, taking a look at some of these things? I should be more, maybe I could, you know, actually take a step back, take a walk, and just think about, maybe I should, you know, am taking some certain things for granted. Maybe I should be a little bit more grateful for the life that I do have, and the fact that I can sit on a podcast and talk with artists and just have a great time and just, you know, get to know more about them, get to know more about music, and understand more about life. And it just hits home, man. And man, I mean, we've had some incredible conversations. Like every time we have a conversation, like it becomes my favorite conversation. And I'm like, I'm not even sure how we're gonna beat this one now. Like this was just, man, this was just too good.
Dude, I really appreciate all the kind words you said, and yeah, man, I'm glad. But that's the thing, though, right? Like it's good to like have conversations with a friend, and just you have that convo, and something happens, you go, damn. And you're like, you start questioning your own shit. You're like, do I need to do that? Because dude, but I've had those moments, you know what I'm saying? And like, and I'm not always like, dude, it's so hard to be positive all the time, especially the fucking world we live in with all the bullshit that we see in our feeds. And I swear sometimes it's meant to like poison our fucking minds. I wake up every morning, and before I look at my phone, the first thing I do is say 5 things I'm grateful for out loud every day. Even if you're just like, man, I'm not feeling grateful today, that's when you need to do it. Like David Goggins and like Joe Rogan say, ignore that inner bitch. That inner bitch when you don't want to do it, like that's that inner bitch talking right there. And no, you do it. That's when you gotta do it. So, you know, the positivity thing is not like, I'm not lying to myself. I'm just being a stupid fucking human who is having a hard time being grateful for things. But I say it, and then I get up. I'm like, all right. And then I look around. Like today, as I was driving, like I just looked around my surroundings, and I just had this moment. I'm like, the trees are green. The sun is out. The sun is on my face. I have a vehicle that doesn't have problems. Like, I'm driving to a job that I'm getting paid to do. And I just had this weird warm moment, this like little fucking moment. And I'm just like, shit's not bad. You know, like, am I where I want to be in all aspects of my life? No. But that's like that moment. It's like, appreciate these little things right now because you're still young. You're still like, you're healthy. And like, that right there, that's the baseline. That's your fucking baseline. Somebody right now is dying in a fucking bed. They are taking their last breath right at this very moment and they're dead. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? So like if you just have this right now, this bond, this connection, this feeling, and I'm not even high, bro. So like it's just like a genuine thing to really take it and like just kind of look at it for a moment and like, you know, I love coming on here. I love speaking freely. I love enjoying like we have really good conversations and you know, I appreciate everything you do and I really mean this, man. Like do not give up on anything that you fucking love. If you decide to no longer do this podcast, do it because you no longer love it. But if you still love it, but it may not be where you want it to be, or it's not going as easy as you want it to go, like that's not when you get throw in the fucking towel. You throw in the towel when you stop loving it. And sometimes we need to redirect. Sometimes music becomes all business. And then you kind of like I have to take a step back and go, this is why I love it though. I love the journey. The journey is fun, man. Sometimes we're so focused on the fucking finish line that like once we get there, what happens after that? Then have you asked yourself what happens? Say you have like every month you got a fucking million listeners. Then what? What do you do after that?
I really don't know what I do after that.
You know what I'm saying? So what? You make more money. So what? But it's the journey. You're gonna look back and you're gonna go, man, that effort every day of making it better and bigger and better and bigger and like you're just molding and we gotta appreciate the journey, bro. I always tell myself to like just appreciate these times right now, man. It is sick, dude. It's sick what Octane has done now. Like we went from being like on Chris's takeover to a test drive and then some songs not getting picked, some songs getting on test drive and that's it, some songs being full ad and accelerator and some song like not it doesn't matter, they're all part of the journey. And now like we had a fucking exclusive world premiere and Vinny, you know, runs Octane, man. You know, the man behind the scenes is, you know, tells our people like, yo, fuck it, the boys are getting a fucking exclusive world premiere right behind Beartooth. And it's like and like right before that, a couple days before, it's Spirit Box with their world premiere. So you got in the same week, the exclusive world premiere, you got Spirit Box, Beartooth, and Outlier. And it's like, who the fuck are we? But I'm going to appreciate being in that same list with all those bands. And then when the ads sheet came out, the ads admit, those are the things that so many bands take that shit for granted. I looked at it, it's like Foo Fighters, Outlier, Spirit Box. Like, dude, we're stacked with some of the best names
Mm-hmm.
right now in rock and metal. And it's like, just that little moment, I'm just proud. I'm proud of that little poster with our name on it. I'm like, it's just, that's part of the journey. You gotta be present and enjoy that moment. So, um, dude, I love what you do, man. I really appreciate you always having me on. I appreciate you always giving me a platform to speak on and asking great questions and always just being a really good dude and open-minded and just, I don't know. I really appreciate you, man. I really do.
Thanks, man. That I mean, that hits home right now. Shoot, I don't even know what to say after that. Like, I can always come up with something to say, but you're kind of rendering me speechless at this point. So just thank you. And kind of just to wrap everything up before we close this one out is everything that kind of brought it to that point. The one thing I kept thinking about is, I still love doing this podcast. For everyone else doing something, if you still love doing it, still keep going at it. And when you were talking about, if you hit that 1 million listeners a month, what's next? And I don't know, but it kind of made me think about the journey up to the point where I'm now and where I still have to go and what I've enjoyed about the journey so far. And it reminds me of Zombieland rule number 32. Enjoy the little things. So,
Exactly.
Just going to keep that mindset. Well, Joey, as we bring this podcast to its conclusion, I like to give you a chance to say whatever you want to say, plug what you want to plug, promote what you want to promote the end of the podcast. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Obviously just, hit up our socials, make sure you hit the follow button on every single social media platform. I can't plug them all because I feel like there's a new social platform coming out every fucking week. So just search Outlier with a V and, just stay up to date on everything. We got so much music coming out this year. Super grateful for Kevin. Again, thank you so much, man. I'm super grateful for all of our fans and any new listeners out there and anybody who's been with us since the beginning and has appreciated the journey and been with us on this journey. Yeah, man, I'm truly grateful. And we're just getting started. Again, every time I set the bar. So like I keep raising that bar on myself. So that's going to be a reflection of what's to come in the band. So I hope people continuously love what we put out and just expect we're never going to put out recycled material. So we're going to keep you guessing on the next fucking release and just keep people coming back for more. And that's what I want. So, and my most personal work is just going to keep coming out. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh man, it's going to make me even more excited for the rest of 2023 from what you've got coming out. So of course, first things first, yes, like Joey said, there's so many different places you can find Outlier. It seems like there's a new social media platform coming every week. And instead of having to search everything up yourself when it comes to social media, YouTube, Spotify, where you can find them playing live, where you can buy some merch from, all that kind of stuff, go to the description of the podcast where it says find Outlier online, links and labels for everything. I'm doing all the hard work for you, all the searching. All you got to do is click on the link that you want and it'll take you right there. So do it. Secondly, Joey, you know that this is going to come. I always make that certain promise of first rounds me whenever I get to see you perform next. I am making that promise again, along with I got to find a way to get those flowers in the middle of the pit so when you're done with your set, I can give you the Tony Bennett moment and go, huh! And throw the bouquet of flowers
I just
up on
want
stage for it.
Just give me my Tony Bennett moment, man. That's it. That's all I want.
I'll get you that Tony Bennett moment somehow, some way. So as we bring this podcast to conclusion, I cannot say goodbye because I'm going to see you play live again. I'm going to make that Tony Bennett moment happen. And I'm going to have you back on the podcast once again. So is this goodbye? This ain't goodbye, Joey. This is I'll see you later.
Thanks, man. I'll see you later, bro.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Joey Arena from Outlier once again. And now it's time for Kevin's final thoughts. So I really don't know where to go with my final thought on this one. This episode was something where we just were talking, kept going, and then even after the episode, we kept going for a little bit as well. Joey is one of my favorite people to talk to all time. And when I kept bringing up things about, he kept bringing up stuff that happened in his past. He kept bringing up the, what happened when he was younger, when he was growing up, what happened with that abusive relationship that led to the creation of the song Heartless, when he was talking about staying genuine and, being happy with himself and learning that, going through therapy and doing that and being as open, as honest as possible with himself and, being open up front and not putting up a front, especially in the music industry where there are a lot of fake people out there. I'm not going to lie, but just the quality of a person that he is. Taking everything that he's been through and, find a way to be able to let it go, but also keep it in a place where he can continue to be positive with it. Man, I mean, his character and his integrity is something that stands out to me. And you know, I think about some of the things he said. I think about some of the things he talked about. And I reflected on my life as well. I thought about what he said around, you know, reaching out to his ex-girlfriend that had been the abuser in that relationship and letting that go, and, you know, just kind of connecting and empathizing with what she had gone through as well so that he could move on and become happier. I think about the stuff that I've gone through, and maybe I should do something similar like that as well so I can let go some of the potential weight and pain that I'm still holding on to that could be preventing myself from going forward in certain relationships and being open to those, you know, chances. Maybe I should. Maybe we were talking about when he talked about the I'm struggling video that I made, watching it and just connecting with it and just saying, just kind of giving those words of encouragement, especially from someone who's been down that path and someone in the music industry and someone then from that had the podcast that I have the utmost respect for. That I absolutely have the utmost respect for who he is, for what his character, for what his integrity, everything. That meant something that meant something to me that just really hit here. And what really hit me on that one was just, it just made me realize that, you know, I still love doing this. It made me realize that even though there's things I've been struggling with a lot, I still love doing this. I still enjoy the little things. And if you listen to this whole entire conversation, then you'll know why that, you'll know why I consider Ovtlier and Joey to be one of my favorite guests to have on the podcast, why I consider Joey a friend, and why I want to make sure he has that Tony Bennett moment on stage. So yeah. Thanks, Joey. This one really meant a lot to me. So when it comes to Ovtlier, when it comes to finding them online for anything social media wise, YouTube, Spotify, streaming their music, telling music, buying some merch, finding them playing live, links to the podcast. They find Ovtlier online. I have all the links, all the labels for you, so you know exactly where you're going. Make sure you follow along with them. Follow us at the Chord Progression Podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're always on those platforms. You can access on those. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel by hitting that subscribe button, or subscribe on Spotify, Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon, whatever one you prefer. I want to thank you for your support. Thank you for your help. I mean, I still love doing this. I don't want to stop doing this, and your support means the world to me. So thank you so much for your support and enjoying this episode. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness, once again. 20% off. Use the code CPP20 FX at the comment description of the podcast. I got to say it again. Thank you again, Joey, for being on the podcast, man. This one meant a lot to me. And I feel like this one can mean a lot to so many other people. So on that note, that's going to be for today, guys. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one. Of the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah!